coffee dreams and custard creams. Nice warm tea, we can feel stress-free. Soft voices and a lot of laughs. It's the Mundane Podcast.
Hello everybody, my name's Chris, and I've got a new microphone. Although if this is your first time, it's not going to make any difference, but still, my name's Chris and this is my new microphone. And welcome to the podcast The Mundane with Chris and Dave. Obviously, I'm Chris, and here's my friend Dave.
Hello everybody, and I'd just like to welcome Chris's microphone to the podcast as well.
It's very honoured to be here.
Welcome. Yeah.
It's very honoured. It's very fancy. I was very happy with it.
It is very, very nice looking. You guys can't see it, but I can assure you it looks really nice.
It does look very nice. I'm sure there'll be a photo somewhere.
There will be, I'm sure.
Not of the old one. The old one was still nice. It was still nice, but it was time. It was time. So, in the Mundane, we're now. I'm not going to say which episode because who knows how I'm going to edit these together. But
we're on episode.
We are on episode insert number here. But today, Dave, I've decided we've looked at stuff. We've looked at tools. And I think it's time to evolve our mundane experience. And I want you to guess, because today we're going to be looking at a place. A mundane place. Okay. Dave's going to know this straight away because I've known Dave for many years. I used to work with Dave in a school. And Dave used to work with the music department. Every year, the music department would go on tour. And every year the music department would go on tour. It was always a big secret surprise as to where they would tour. But Dave would always have a reserve answer of where they're going to tour. And Dave, where would you tell? So normally, just for the record, this school has been to China, Denmark. Where else, Dave? Where else have they actually been?
They've been all over the place. They've been to Greece. China and Denmark, as you say, Denmark many times. They've been to Prague. They've been to Belgium. They played in Germany.
Yeah, the school band was absolutely amazing, and they always toured very exciting places. But every year, when they did a tour, there was always a bit of murmuring and tension. Oh, where are we going to tour this time? And Dave would always have a reserve answer anytime they'd ask. And Dave, that is going to be our subject today. Dave, where do you tell them we're going?
Skegness.
No.
Was it not Skegness?
It's not Skegness.
Was it?
It's the other one.
Bognor Regis.
Bognor Regis.
Oh no.
You went with such...
I was
so confident.
I had to think at first. I was like, which one? Where was it? And I was like, oh yes, it's Skegness. It's absolutely Skegness. So was it actually Bognor Regis I was telling the students?
It was Bognor Regis.
It's so easy to get those two mixed up. It really is.
Well, it's funny you say that. So that brings me across to my first point. In my research today, because ironically it's so mundane, there's not actually a lot of stuff written about it. Mundane places, there's not as much of a comprehensive history as opposed to tools and other things. So no, we're going to look at Bognor Regis, but it's interesting you say Skegness. Can you think of a Skegness-Bognor Regis connection?
Yes.
Go on then.
They're both seaside coastal towns.
Well, yeah. Yeah, we should probably explain because there might be people who have no idea what we're on about.
Yeah.
So let's start with this. So Bognor Regis is a town in West Sussex on the south coast of England.
Actually, just down the road to where I am right now.
Just down the road to where you are right now. It's about 55 miles away from London and 24 miles to the west of Brighton. Which is definitely facts I didn't read online. It's definitely facts I read online. Okay, so Bognor Regis is a seaside town on the south coast of England. It's near where Dave lives now. Dave lives down south. I live in the centre of England. But it always makes me laugh because every time I drive down to see Dave, I often drive past signs for Bognor Regis. And I always have very distinct memories of seeing Dave disappoint those children every time when they go, where are we going? Well, guys, we're going to Bognor Regis. Yeah, Bognor Regis and Milton Keynes was your other one.
Did I say Milton Keynes as well? I'm sure I did say Skegness at one point.
You probably did say Skegness, but no. So, can you think of another connection between Skegness and Bognor Regis?
I'm going to go out on a limb anyway, because I'm going to say it with absolute confidence again. They've both got a Butlins.
Well done! He's got it! Well done, David Hadland. So, of the distinct things about Bognor Regis that I could find, The big one was that Bognor Regis has the second ever Butlins
Oh, really?
installed, with the first one being in Skegness.
I was just about to say it has to be, doesn't it? It has to be.
So the first ever Butlins was in Skegness. Second one was in, Bognor Regis. One of the facts that I really enjoyed that I did actually check, I did go through the citations on this bit because I really wanted to make sure it was true. And I did. It came through from a book, and then I was able to go through on the book. Billy Butlin made his first appearance in the town with his recreation shelter, which was situated on the corners of Lennox Street and the Esplanade. Oh no, I'm going to mess up these words. And these
The
are English
Esplanade,
words.
when in Bognor.
In Bognor, yeah. What's the Esplanade?
I know the
Dave?
Esplanade. Yeah.
What is
yeah.
What is the Esplanade?
It's a road.
Oh.
It's a very memorable name for a road.
It's a
though,
very
isn't it?
memorable name. I was like, oh, what is the Esplanade? Esplanade. Hello.
I have no idea how it's actually said, but that's what I would say.
Hello, it's the Esplanade here. Yeah, so it was a popular entertainment venue containing one-armed bandits and dodgem cars, and this was then followed in 1933 by the Butlin Zoo on the seafront, which contained a wide array of animals, including brown, black, and polar bears.
What, in Bognor Regis?
In Bognor Regis, hyenas, leopards,
Wow,
pelicans,
yeah.
kangaroos, monkeys, and Togo the Snake King. None of these have citations on. The thing that I said about citations comes later. Eventually, in 1958, the Bognor Regis Town Council announced they had reached an agreement with Butlin to take on the 39-acre Brooklyn site to build a holiday camp, the site in which Butlin still stands today. The camp first opened to the public in 1960. So, that's about the Butlins, Bognor Regis. But one of the facts I discovered that was in a book about Bognor Regis. So we should probably explain to the audience what Bognor Regis. No, we should probably explain. We've done that. We should probably explain to the audience what Butlins is. So Butlins to me is when you think seaside family adventure. It's Butlins.
That makes it sound like maybe there are like things to do there that I suppose you could consider adventurous.
What would you call Butlins then?
Well, I don't know. This is the thing. Like maybe adventure is the word. That's what I'm trying to think. I mean, it's this British seaside family holiday resort. It's big as well. Like it's probably most of the population of Bognor Regis is probably in Butlins.
Well, funnily enough, I can tell you exactly how many beds Bognor Regis has. So the Bognor Regis Butlins is spread over 60 acres, which is 0.24 kilometres. So there's 5,800 beds, 8 restaurants and 3 cafes.
There's a spa as well. I've been in it. Bought my lunch there. Had a meal deal.
Well, so the area of Bognor Regis is 4.4 kilometres squared. So it takes...
Wait, so Butlins is how many square kilometres?
Butlins is 0.2.
Right, and Bognor Regis is 4.4.
Yeah.
Right, it's not much of Bognor Regis after all.
No.
Bognor Regis is quite a big place.
My favourite thing that I discovered about Butlins in Bognor Regis was that when it was first created, he created it as like, before the camper park, he just had the shooting range and like an amusement arcade thing with one-armed bandits and a few other things. So the man that invented Butlin, do you know what the man who invented Butlins is called?
I think you already said it earlier, isn't it something Butlin?
It is something Butlin, but can you guess what his first name is?
What was it? Johnny.
Billy Butlin.
See, I knew it was like an E.
Yeah, it
name.
was an E. During World War II, the park at Bognor was a cause for concern for Billy Butlin because the park had always had a shooting range, and during the late 1930s, the targets were replaced with images of Hitler, Göring, Goebbels, and Ribbentrop.
Of course they were.
Brilliant. After the Battle of Dunkirk, though, Butlin became concerned that should the Germans invade the south coast, the first thing they might see was the gallery making Butlin a target. And I checked this. This is the fact that I checked in the book. So I did check in the book, and this is 100% true according to the Billy Butlin story. At Bognor, one was a shooting range with the heads of Nazi leaders. I never gave the stall any thought until after Dunkirk and the threat of the German invasion. Suddenly, I remember those targets, and he thought if the Germans took over, he'd be a dead man.
Did he get rid of them?
No.
But they must have done at some point, obviously.
They would have done at some point. No, maybe they're still there to this day. So... That is what I've got about the Butlins at Bognor Regis. Pretty much the most distinct part of Bognor Regis in my research. There's one other famous thing. Also, do you know why it's called Bognor Regis Day?
I actually do kind of know a bit.
Do you,
I think.
Dave?
So I guess it was originally just called Bognor, or maybe Bognor something else, but it became Bognor Regis when the Queen Elizabeth, I believe it was, Queen Victoria, King Edward, someone from the royal family visited Bognor Regis, and apparently, or they did something there, and that meant that they could then name their town, have put Regis in the name, and it's something to do with it royal. There's Lyme Regis in Dorset as well.
Yes, so Regis as a place is Latin for of the king.
Bognor of the king.
Bognor of the king. An alternative version is Kings, hence King's Lynn.
King's Lynn.
King's Bromley. So those are two places that just use the kind of more the non-Latin version. So yeah, Regis, there's Houghton Regis, Beer Regis, Lyme Regis. Yeah, Hatfield Regis, Milton Regis in Kent, Rowley Regis in the West Midlands, Newton Regis. So yeah, it means of the king, and it was because King George V.
King George V.
He had become ill and required lung surgery to be carried out on the 12th of December 1928. His recovery was slow, and on the 22nd of January 1929, Buckingham Palace issued the statement saying it said it had been realised by the King's medical advisor that prior to the establishment of convalescence, there would be a time when sea air would be necessary in order to secure the continuation of His Majesty's process. Bognor Regis.
So they sent him to Bognor to cure his lung condition?
Yeah, well, when you have lung conditions, they say sea air. I don't know how true that is.
Well, there's a lot of salt in it. There could be something to that.
There could be something to that. So yeah, so Bognor is actually one of the oldest recorded Anglo-Saxon names in Sussex in a document of AD 680. So 680, the year 680, before any thousands were there. It is referred to as Bognor, meaning a shore or a landing place.
Bognor.
Yeah, Bognor, meaning, buggies, which is a female Anglo-Saxon name, shore or landing place. So it's like King's Port, I suppose. King's Beach. So do you know the other famous thing about royalty and Bognor Regis? I discovered there's actually a bit of controversy about this. And this is the most quintessentially mundane British myth about Bognor Regis.
Doesn't involve Prince Andrew then, because when you say controversy,
no, King George V. King George V. It's still involving King George V.
He went to Bognor and to sort his lung out, whatever, and he realised that it was actually rubbish. Bognor.
You're actually pretty close there, Dave. So
I have actually, just sorry to interrupt, I probably should say, I actually, on one of my random evenings of browsing the internet, I have read a bit, I think I've read the Wikipedia of Bognor Regis or something, so maybe I've got some memories of that. Yeah,
so they wanted to turn Bognor into Bognor Regis, of the king.
The town did, yeah.
Because obviously King George had stayed there.
Yeah.
So, maybe we could get of the king or Regis, yeah.
Because Bognor on its own doesn't really sound...
Yeah, and King's Bognor doesn't sound that good.
Does it really?
Bognor of the king sounds like toilet of the king. Don't really want that.
Toilet.
But Regis, that Latin meaning the Anglo-Saxon. There was a petition that was presented to Lords Stamfordham. I'm just massacring these English names. The king's private secretary, who in turn delivered it to the king. So they were like, after the king had recovered, they're like, hey man, can we have a Regis on our name? And the king famously, supposedly, replied, oh, bugger Bognor.
That rings a bell. I think I might have read that. But
and
brilliant.
Then Lord Stamfordham went back to the petitioners and told them, the king has been graciously pleased to grant your request.
He didn't want to offend the Bognorians.
He didn't, the Bognorians. There was a different story of Bugger Bognor where it's apparently King George V's last words, but there is numerous things that say no, it's not. I think his last words were literally just "I'm dying now." Bye. Famous last words as they all are.
I think the most common last word is a swear word, isn't it?
Well, bugger.
Yeah.
But apparently, so I'm going to read these two sentences on the Wikipedia because it is quite lovely written. It's quite beautifully written. A slightly different version of the Bugger Bognor incident is that the king, upon being told shortly before his death that he should well be soon enough to revisit the town, he uttered the words Bugger Bognor. Although there is little evidence that these words were actually spoken in this context, and although the sea air helped the king regain his health, it is certain the king had little regard for the town.
I wouldn't want to comment because there might be Bognorians listening.
What's wrong? Is what I've never been Bognor Regis. Bognor Regis is going to be this elusive, magical place. Maybe one day, Dave, we can take this show video and we'll do a travel show.
Go to Bognor.
And we'll go around and we'll go to Bognor.
Yeah.
We'll go to all the really little the mundane towns. Maybe that's the next step. The Mundane can be a franchise.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Start off as a podcast, then we become a travel show. We'll be on the BBC. Maybe we'll go fishing. That's mundane. But let's go fishing.
And then we can have mundane chats whilst we're doing the mundane acts of fishing.
Exactly. Doing the mundane cooking. We can do a mundane cooking show. Cook shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
Ham sandwich. That's a pretty mundane meal.
Ham, egg and chips. Is that going too far? I don't know.
Or ham, egg and chips. A bit exciting, but no, I think it does fit. I think it does fit in the mundane.
Beans on toast.
Beans on toast, absolutely.
Classic.
British classic. Yep. That's what a lot of Americans dismiss as our bad food.
Do they?
Yeah, that's one of the examples that Americans use as bad British food.
What, baked beans?
Yeah, as opposed to, lard fused bread.
Yeah.
Anyway, on Bognor, the Wikipedia is you can hear the cogs as they really try and write something about it. So the town has several areas and buildings.
It doesn't say that, does it?
Has several areas and buildings that still link it with its past.
Oh, right, okay.
Good examples and prominent landmarks are the Royal Norfolk Hotel and Hotham Park.
I've never been to either of them. I've heard of Hotham Park. It's in Bognor. There's a music event that goes on there. Bognor Rocks.
Oh, Bognor Rocks. Do you think we should write to Jack Black or Ozzy Osbourne and ask them to deem Bognor of the Rocks, so then it can be called Bognor Rocks instead of Bognor Regis?
But they spell it R-O-X. It's a bit too edgy.
Ozzy Osbourne don't care. It's a bit too edgy. Yeah, nobody will visit Bognor Regis then.
I don't think I've ever been to Bognor when it's sunny, so maybe it doesn't get a fair rep for me because I associate it with just being a bit grey. But, I'm sure it's not on a sunny day. It's got a nice pebbly beach.
Yeah, so the next bit we've got on the Wikipedia, I'm so sorry this isn't an article. Normally we do articles, but
sometimes Wikipedia is just the only way.
Just the only way, yeah. So Bognor Regis experiences an oceanic climate similar to almost all of the United Kingdom, albeit sunnier and milder due to its proximity to the coast. It has, at over 1,900 hours on average, the highest known annual level of sunshine of any British mainland weather station, resulting in Bognor Regis being named the sunniest town in Britain.
I don't think I've been to Bognor Regis when the sun's out. And I've been there a fair few times.
And then we got culture and community.
All right.
Okay. Number one is the Birdman of Bognor.
Yes, like an annual festival thing where they all gather at the pier, and I think people make their own bird costume outfit things, and they actually they run and jump off the pier and see how far they can fly in their homemade thing.
Yeah, the international Birdman competitions. Americans, if you don't know what Britain's like, this is a pretty good example. Everywhere has their weird festivities. The International Birdman is a series of English competitions that involves human birdmen attempting to fly off the end of a pier into the sea for prize money. The one at Bognor is one of the oldest birdman rallies in the world. We invented that stupid event of just throwing yourself off a pier
dangerous.
And trying to fly. It does sound pretty dangerous.
I mean, you could jump off a pier safely into the water if the water's deep enough, obviously, and there's nothing under the water that you're going to hit. But the bird costume adds a bit of a wild card, What if you drown? What if you can't swim with your costume on? Have they got the RNLI out there to pick you up?
According to the Wikipedia, because of course I'm on the blimming Wikipedia. Looking on the page, there's not really a lot of stuff about anyone getting too injured.
It's probably okay. I'm just safety conscious.
So, yeah, there's the Birdman of Bognor. And then on the culture, it's also there's a cinema.
Yes, actually, that was one thing I was going to say earlier. It's got an independent cinema, the Bognor Picturedrome.
Which has been trading as a cinema for over 100 years.
It's really old school. It looks really cool. We should go there sometime.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we'll do that on the Bognor Day. Yeah, on the travel show. Yeah.
There is also the Alexandra Theatre, which is a 357-seat auditorium.
I haven't been there.
The only other thing is, apparently, the film The Punch and Judy Man, starring Tony Hancock, was partly shot in Bognor Regis.
Oh, really?
It's then got, as one of my favourite parts, which is notable people.
Notable people of Bognor Regis. All right, come at me with these star names. Have you heard of any of them?
There's Richard Hoffman, who's a property developer and politician associated with the development of the Bognor Regis into a seaside resort. So
Is he got his own Wikipedia page?
he does have his own Wikipedia page.
Okay, so he's not that underground.
No, there is Frederick Albert Bridge, who is a photographer who died after a fall while on holiday in Bognor Regis.
He's one of the notable people of Bognor Regis.
That's apparently...
Where was he born?
And he's not even... Shadwell.
Where's that?
Which is near London. In London. Apparently, in terms of notable people, in fact, a lot of people have died there. All of them are really bong. Apparently, James Joyce worked on Finnegan's Wake while staying in Bognor in 1923.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah,
You know that one,
yeah,
obviously.
Big Jimmy Joyce.
Jimmy Joyce. And then my other favourite one that I discovered, the only one that was actually quite interesting, is Cynthia Payne. So all of these other people, there's like nice long lines of like description on who they are or how they died. Except for Cynthia Payne, who following her name just has 2 words. And those 2 words are brothel keeper.
Has she got her own Wikipedia page?
She has her own Wikipedia
And is she a
page,
Bognor
Dave.
woman? Or was she?
She is a Bognor woman. She was an English brothel keeper and party hostess who made headlines in the 1970s and 1980s when she was convicted of running a brothel in Streatham, a southwest suburb of London. Streatham? Streatham. Streatham.
Yeah.
Streatham.
Streatham.
Streatham. Just bacon on
yeah.
the street. It's quite a small Wikipedia page, but I am gonna go into it a bit because it is quite interesting.
Yeah. It's like yawn. I've had an early start.
Here we go. Payne first came to national attention in 1978 when police raided a home while a sex party was in progress. Men paid with luncheon vouchers to dress up in lingerie and to be spanked by young women.
So much stuff in that one. She is the woman of Bognor. She's got so much to her story in that one sentence. I mean, I've never been to a sex party before. I don't know. It sounds seedy. The thing that really stuck out for me there, you can probably guess. Luncheon. What were they?
Luncheon vouchers.
What? They paid in luncheon vouchers. Are they like Nando's vouchers? Is that the modern equivalent? Like you get a lunch at Nando's if you come to do this horrible stuff with me.
I think it's like so from it's like if you work for a company, they just give you Nando's vouchers. Yeah, a Nando's voucher is a luncheon voucher. You know, I know a fair few women who would probably be spanked by older men in exchange for Nando's vouchers.
Yeah.
Not as a slight against them, but as an up against Nando's, as an up for Nando's.
Yeah, like, people like Nando's.
Police found 53 men at her residence in varying levels of undress, which I enjoy. I like to imagine there's one with 1 sock, one with 2 socks.
All of the levels of undress.
Or the level, some in shorts, who knows? Which included a peer of the realm, an NP, a number of solicitors and company directors and several vicars. A cartoon in the press at the time, according to Sarah Baxter in the Sunday Times, showed a vicar in bed with a prostitute, confronted by a policeman. "I demand to see my solicitor," said the vicar. "Who's in the next bedroom?" When the case came to trial in 1980, Payne was sentenced to 18 months in prison, reduced to a fine and 6 months on appeal. She served 4 months in Holloway Prison.
Is she still around?
She died, unfortunately, in 2015, aged 82. But there's actually a bit more in this. In 1986, the police raided Payne's home again, this time during a special party she was hosting after shooting the film of her life had been completed. Although she was acquitted on this occasion, the resulting court case in 1987 made headlines for several weeks with lurid tales, some details of which aired on the Dame Edna Experience, on which she launched her book. And her book is called Entertaining at Home. And the thing that I like about this part is then the court case ended Payne's career as a party giver. Now, a party giver is a bit of a very specific... Is that just giving someone sexy parties? That's the gift. You have a PA company, Dave. I'm sure you could give me a party, but like, you know, with some nice music and banging tunes. Maybe not some young women that I can pay in Nando's vouchers to spank, but I don't really want that, to be honest. I just want a good sound system.
Does it have to be a sexual thing?
There's not even a citation on party giver, but I'm going to do a quick Google now. Party giver is just a person hosting a party, so no. So maybe Cynthia Payne, keeping to her name, was in so much pain of having all these... Every time I have a party, the police raid it. she decided no more parties again. And so that would have been in 1986. So how old would she have been? 1986. Oh, she would have been 54. Cynthia Payne decided no more parties. And then she didn't have any more parties until...
It's a good age to party till.
So good age to party. I'd like a few
Yeah, I hope
more,
I would
though.
still be partying too. I'm older than that, really.
Yeah, so apparently there's 2 comedy films based loosely on her life, both released in 1987. No wonder you'd have a big party if they made 2 films of your life in 1 year.
Yeah. That's some epic partying.
And one of them was Wish You Were Here, about her adolescence with Emily Lloyd in the lead role, and Personal Services, about her adult life, starring Julie Waters. Both were written by David Leland, who directed Wish You Were Here. So, and that means part of Wish You Were Here was filmed in Bognor Regis. So, yeah, Cynthia Payne, absolute legend. It sounds like she wasn't doing anything too lurid.
She was just a party giver.
Just a party giver.
What's not to like?
What's not to like about being a party giver? The only other line I want to say that's in her Wikipedia is Payne made appearances as an after-dinner speaker and launched a range of, inverted commas, adult services and products in 2006. And there is no link, no explanation whatsoever. So I have no idea what her adult products are. And to be honest, if I Google Cynthia Payne adult products, I'm a bit scared about what I'll find. But absolute legend, and I just can't, I think after all this is over, maybe we need a few more Cynthia Paynes.
A few more party givers in the world.
Right, to final this off, Dave, I found Cynthia Payne's obituary in The Guardian of 2015, which is when she died.
The most notable person of Bognor. For me.
For me as well. Just going to skip over some of the darker bits just for the sake of this mildly entertaining podcast. Initially, she ran kinky parties for kinky people, advertising in Contact magazines, but her brothel, far from the flesh pits of Soho, attracted word-of-mouth clientele of older men who liked to have their fantasies indulged, whether this involved straight sex, bondage, whipping, or role-playing. Or I'm sure a combination of all. The reason that her case attracted so much attention was twofold: her clients and the method of payment. The former was said to have included a peer of the realm, vicars, barristers, ex-police officers, politicians and bank managers, not to mention a cross-dressing former RAF squadron leader. Don't know why the cross-dressing is relevant in that sentence, but okay. Towards the end of his life, her father also became a client. She charged punters £25, which was exchanged for a luncheon voucher. So it's not Nando's vouchers, Dave. They're not paying in Nando's vouchers. She just called her sex party vouchers luncheon vouchers.
Probably to keep it on the down low type thing. Yeah.
To keep it on the down low. Oh yeah, if someone says they have a Nando's voucher, I'm not going to think twice. I'm not going to think that they've not got a gift card for a brothel. Oh no. She charged punters £25, which is exchanged for a luncheon voucher, a token that entitled the bearer to have sex with any of the women in the house who agreed and who could then use it as proof of services rendered. Pensioners received a £3 discount. This woman is amazing.
Fair play.
An anonymous tip-off alerted police to strange goings-on in Ambleside Avenue, and over a 12-day period, 249 men and 50 women were observed by undercover police officers entering her house. The luncheon vouchers, presented as evidence, became an enduring part of the story. Convicted of running a disorderly house, sounds pretty orderly to me when you have built-in vouchers, Payne was sentenced to 18 months and fined £1,950 with £2,000 costs. Her barrister, Geoffrey Robertson, asked for a non-custodial sentence, assuring the court that no beardless youngsters were initiated into the flesh pots. So there we go. Cynthia Payne. Do you know who I imagine? I imagine the woman that runs the madam that runs the brothel in The Simpsons. That's how I imagine her. When Bart works at the brothel.
Yes, I think I know the one.
So there we go. So that is the story of Cynthia Payne, the one and only notable person of Bognor Regis. King George V said bugger Bognor. But Cynthia Payne, inspired by her time in Bognor, was like, you can bugger in Bognor. It's not in Bognor, her services were in London, but still left bugger Bognor to bring the bugger Bognor spirit to London. And, gave OAPs a discount.
Respect for the OAP discount.
Respect. What a person. Between that, healing the king, who wasn't happy with it, and, people jumping off piers, pretending to be planes, and disappointing school children is all I know of Bognor Regis. But what a wonderfully mundane place.
It is wonderfully mundane, yeah.
It truly is. It is. There's nothing
No.
wrong with being mundane. That's the whole point of this show, is to celebrate and enjoy and appreciate those little things. This is just the first time that there isn't actually as much of an interesting history as normally.
No, yeah, we actually got something fairly mundane. Like, some of the things turn out to be actually really not mundane in a way, but
You know, Cynthia Payne had to escape the mundanity of Bognor Regis to open a brothel elsewhere, and she would have become, you know, the Bognor brothel would have been very
there
different.
wouldn't have been much stuff going on there. It'd just be very mundane.
It would be very mundane, but in a way, that's why it's beautiful, and that's why we love you, Bognor
Bognor.
Regis. And one day we're gonna visit you and have a good time in you.
Scott Wilkinson's, actually. That's one of the reasons I visit Bognor. For the Wilkinsons, yeah, they got a good pick and mix.
That's all you need, really. The sea, pick and mix, Butlins, the full Bognor Regis experience. And with that, I think it's time we go. So, thank you, everybody, for listening to this even more disjointed episode than normal.
It was different.
It was different, but, you know, new microphone, new times. I just hope you had a good time. Have an amazing week, and we'll be here next week for you. Take care and stay well.
I've been Dave. Thank you very much, everyone.
Have an amazing week.
Bye.
It's the Mundane Podcast.